Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Push Start Podcast. I'm very happy to announce today's guest. He is Siso Albert Nqolosi. He comes from the humble beginnings of a KZN township school with little resources to come up on top with academic performance, 7 distinctions in his matric year. So he topped the district. So he came up on top on his district and he went on to study a bachelor's degree at the University of Cape Town, where he was able to score internships and also have a job as a resident academic advisor, participate in the student leadership activities like Engineers Without Borders. And we fast forward now to where he's practicing as a mechanical engineer. I'm pleased to have you, see. So thank you so much for coming on the show. How are you doing?
Thank you very much, Sandil, and that's a really nice intro.
Yeah.
Good on yourself.
Yeah, I'm also good. How's the situation in Cape Town? How's if you're based in Cape Town, right?
Yes, I'm based in Cape Town. There's it's actually called Century City, the area. So
Oh,
it's
Century. Oh,
Century City. Yeah, it's a really nice place, and everyone's like really focused here. So it's a conducive place to work in.
yeah. And how is everyone abiding by the lockdown rules?
I mean, like people are doing their part, but then there are those few people there and there who just like what, staying at home is too much for me.
Yeah, the
Yeah, but I mean,
Mavericks.
it's a really tough situation, and if we want to get through this, it's just we should just do our part, stay
Yeah,
indoors, and just isolate yourself from everyone. You might not be in like
true.
immediate danger, but then I mean, think about the next person. Yeah,
Yeah,
because in our society nowadays, it's more about like only we care about ourselves, and as a result, like that actually affects other people in a negative way. So it's just um my advice to people: just stay at home, do your part, be a good citizen, and then
yeah.
just like put it there. And your side, how are things there?
It's really quiet in Johannesburg. I was talking to a couple of friends yesterday.
Mm.
They were basically talking about how at different parts of the world is also like different. It's really quiet in Johannesburg. I have to say, where I'm currently at, in the east side of Johannesburg, it's fairly quiet and people are actually abiding by the rules. Like the only people that we see on the streets are the nurses, the security guards, the petrol attendants. Those are the people that are going to work. But I'm happy with how people have responded so far.
Mm.
It's not
Mm.
perfect
And
in some areas, but yeah.
yeah, I mean, like some areas, it's not even possible to have like self isolation there. So I mean, for the situation that we're in and the resources that we have, I think we're doing good so far. And I saw like was it today actually, the whole point of this is to flatten the curve from the new
Mm,
infections, and like the curve is really flattening. Hey, so
yeah.
we're doing real doing real good. Doing-
Yeah, that's definitely a patriotic message as South Africans to say that we are doing a good job at bringing our efforts together. So let's get right into it. Let's start with your early beginning. So please tell me more about your education before varsity.
Mm. So basically, like I said before the live stream, so I'm coming from okay, first a rural area. That's the place I was coming from, and so I did my junior grades there, and then I later moved to a township, also like in a isolated area. It's a small town called Umzimkhulu in KZN.
Oh yes.
So yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with KZN, but it's there. So it's and then that's where I started doing my senior education in terms of like grade 8, 9, 10, and 11. And I mean, if I talk about the school itself, I would say like it's one of those fortunate schools because I mean, we didn't have a lot of resources there. And if we, I mean, like obviously it's relative. I know there are some schools who don't even have like a single textbook. Yeah, but in the sense that we had a few textbooks, then we're fortunate in that sense. And also the fact that in a class, for example, you'd get like 60 learners within one class, even more some years. So it was
Sure.
really like if you compare it to like the other schools, like you would say disadvantage. But then
Yeah.
yeah, you know the motto. You just have to work with what you have, and that's what I focused on. Just like try and focus on the positives, maximize the
Mhm.
resources that you have. So it's in terms of like school life, it was that situation.
Oh, yes, sure. So now what I want to get into is like your motivating factors. Like what are some of the things that influenced you at an early age to get into mechanical engineering?
Yeah, if I think back, I think for me, even from a young age, I remember I think technology class in junior was like my favorite subject. And I'd try to like fix up things back at home, or if I see something which is wrong, I'll try to finish it with it. Sometimes it didn't work, but then
Mm,
sometimes like, and it was a learning curve. I think that was the earliest time whereby I knew that okay, I want to do something technical when I grow up. I didn't know what it was because my interest was everywhere, and I think it was only in high school when I just like said like, you know what, so I know you want something technical, but then you should decide what is it that you want and what is it that you enjoy. So it took me a couple of months just like isolating, because I knew that okay, it's something in engineering. So it's either electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, or mechatronics. Were my top three options. So I had to narrow it down to something which I really like, and I found that and the only way you can do that is by going to the library
mhm.
and actually googling each of them, and then seeing what they entail. Because I mean, one thing about growing up in townships or rural areas, or like the areas which don't have like that much information, is that sometimes we don't even know what's out there, and that our selection is limited. And for me, I feel like I found that the internet and going to like library is almost free, and every town city has a library, and there's always a career section there. And nowadays even
Yes.
data is much even cheaper to, because back then data was very expensive, or at least I was a kid. Yeah, so I
Yeah.
find that yeah, yeah. So I remember going through like the computer at the library, just going through each of the options that I set, and then looking what they entails and what is it that resonates more with me, and looking at my abilities as well. Because I mean, it's one of those things whereby you have to introspect, as in like you should look at yourself, and then rather than, I know always there'll be teachers there and they say like, you know what, I know you're performing well in life science and English and maths, just be a
Yeah.
doctor. No.
And they try to steer you there into that life science stream.
Yes. I know lots of teachers were doing that, and it's kind of confusing at times. But then if you don't really know what to do, that's really helpful to, they give you guidance into the direction that you might go. But then since I was already had an idea of what I want to be doing with my life or with my career, so okay, I know that, you know what, I shouldn't like pay too much attention there, because it will like distract me from the goals that I've set for myself. And yeah, through
Mm,
my research, I found that mechanical engineering was the one which ticked many of the boxes that I wanted. And
yeah.
from, yeah, I think it was at grade 11, then I started. And I remember applying, I started very early. It was actually in grade 11. And I remember the
Oh,
places
yes.
saying that we're going to hold your application till grade, because you can only apply in grade 12. But then, yeah, I was
Hmm.
like, you know what, I need to do this thing. I need to do it. I wanted to do it now. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah. So, because I remember it was with Viz, they just held my application, and then in grade 12, they only open it then. But then studying early was one of the things I did as well. Is the moment you know what you want to study going forward, do research on that, see which institutions are going to provide. Because I mean, not all the universities have the same curriculum or the same subjects, or yeah. So it's a
Hmm.
matter of like
Yes, true.
looking to which university can cater what you want. Yeah. So going forward, that's how I ended up like deciding on mechanical engineering and then going forward, yeah, to do that.
Yes. So it's very interesting that you mentioned, like you mentioned a lot of key points with starting early, number one, as far back as grade 11. That is really crucial, and that is a point that we always drive home to people that want to apply, is that start as early, even before grade 11, trying to figure out what you want to do. And number two is also, as well, you mentioned something of ticking boxes of which field matches me. Just don't go with what the teachers is saying. It's good advice, and they really want to do good by you, but also, as well, you're an individual. So what were some of the boxes that got ticked, instead of electrical, instead of say chemical? What are some of the boxes that were ticked for you with mechanical engineering?
Okay, for me, I wanted something like stimulating in terms of like I know all the engineering courses are stimulating, but then I mean,
Very
in terms of
stimulating.
like sometimes in a very challenging way.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So it's, I wanted to do something whereby okay, one of the things, like I always want to see the result of something that I'm doing, and I found that with engineering it's almost immediate. And I know with electrical and computer engineering and all of those things, yeah, you get to see the byproduct of your work. But then with engineering, something immediate. You want to build a motor, you have the parts, you have the components within them, and then you see the final product and you can actually interact with it. So that was one thing of I wanted to do something tangible. I know civil also has that aspect, civil engineering, but then for me, I was like, I shouldn't focus on bricks. But
Yeah.
so people always get angry when I talk about bricks because they don't. That's not something they
Yeah.
do. Yeah. But I mean, yeah. But you get what I'm saying. And also,
Hmm.
like I told you before that I really love technology, and I found that mechanical engineering has that perfect element of combining different technological aspects to it, in the sense
Hmm.
that you really combine different parts of different, okay, really solve problems to find different solutions. And then
Yes.
sometimes it's not the best solution, but then I mean, it's you, there's the process to it, and then that's something, that's where you learn, I guess. So I really love that technological aspect of mechanical engineering. And
Yeah.
one more thing I can say, I wanted to career web. Okay, I wanted something that's gonna last as well, because when you're choosing a career, you shouldn't look at now, because that's the mistake many people do. Is that even though like you have an idea of what you want to do, but then you only look at it now, as in like this year or next year. Look, what I want to do is to look into the future and see like which of these engineering discipline will always be relevant.
Yes.
And yeah, so that's one thing. So that means then if I choose mechanical engineering, it won't happen that 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, it's no longer relevant, and then you find yourself
Mm.
having this degree, yet like there's no opportunities for it. So mechanical engineering, I found that you have that longevity, if you can say, if I can put it like that way. And I know like it's, yeah, but it's one of those things where you just have to look at it, look at the degree that you're choosing or the qualification that you're choosing will still be relevant 10 years from now. And
Yeah.
yeah, and mechanical engineering is one of the oldest engineering
Sure.
discipline, from second from civil engineering. So it's been
Yeah.
there, and there is a lot of knowledge that you can get from that. And another thing, it's mechanical engineering is very wide. Like you can do pretty much anything that you
Anything.
want. You can go to
Yes.
medicine, you can go to vehicles, you can go airplanes, you can go to buildings, you can go. For example, myself, I work in water right now, so that's how
Hmm.
broad mechanical engineering is. So that's another box that was ticked. So pretty much those were like the main things I wanted. I researched when I was like going through uh, my choices, or Yeah.
Yeah, but I like the fact that you were very mindful throughout the whole process. Like you kept on checking in. Am I in the right place? Where am I now in the present? And you also mentioned that it's one of the oldest fields. So where was the field in the past? Where is the field going in the future? And that's something that I also agree that is very, very crucial when it comes to picking a career. And I firmly believe as well that STEM fields are really good for that. And also, you mentioned that it's very vast. I went into engineering liking cars. Like, I'll be honest. I went into engineering liking cars, and I thought it was just going to be cars. Well, I found
uh,
out only when I was there that only transport engineers do that and designers overseas. So I got introduced to the wide array of things that we do as mechanical engineers. So let's talk about the jump from. So now you've made the decision and you've done your research, you've applied early, and they were like, "Hey, we'll take consideration of you." Another thing that we can do as well is move into the jump from high school to varsity. What are some of the key things that when you look back and you analyze, you like, I actually thank God that I did that. Like, I'm actually grateful that I did that during that year when I jumped from high school to varsity.
okay. One thing I can say first is that I have to recognize that it wasn't easy. It was not easy at all, especially from here's this kid coming from a small town in KZN, and then you're going to this big city in Cape Town. You don't know anyone there, so it was.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an easy jump. It's a learning process as well. So yeah, one thing which is I can say that it made that whole transition easy was okay. What happens that I tried to make friends very early because okay, one thing is that something which makes the path more difficult is when you you're the only one doing it. If you don't have any support, you're just going there. You're the only one. You're just isolated. It becomes hell. I can say that it just becomes very difficult. So I made sure very early that I make friends. Obviously, it's always a process. That sometimes I was I'm an introvert sometimes, so uh,
Mm-hmm.
taking the initiative to make that friendship was not easy. But then something that I knew that you know what you have to do it because you're not the only one in this road. Many other people are also in the same road as you. So it'd be nice if you have someone who you can share and also just asking for directions because sometimes you just like follow people. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I tried
man.
to I tried to make friends
Yeah.
like early on. So and then in terms of making friends, try to have like variety within like, like sort of like a small group. I guess you don't have to be best friends with everyone, but then I mean you should know people enough that like
Yes.
they can give you different guidance and towards different things. So one tip I can say is which will really help you is to make friends. Just make friends early on. That'll be really helpful. And also if you're doing engineering, which is considered one of the hardest courses you can do, you definitely gonna need someone who you're gonna like talk to, and also
Yeah.
besides that, and then you can even go for like academic stuff as well. Just go through the notes, and if you're doing a touch, am I doing this correctly? How did do yours? So it's yeah. So find a friend and find and I always say this to like people who ask me like have a friend in your class, have a friend in a place that you're staying. If you're staying near res, if you're staying in an apartment, if you're staying just have a friend there as well because like those are two different friends and then they can assist in different kind of ways. So it's just make sure that you yeah you establish that friendship beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing which I can say like really made the journey smooth. was okay, always connecting with the people back at home as well. I
Yes.
mean, like your family. If you are like a religious person, it can be someone from a church or just someone that you are familiar with. I know sometimes like we're not all privileged enough to have someone who can always go back to and ask, but then just have that one person who knows who knows about the journey that you're taking in terms of like was that person was there when you were like in high school or even earlier than
Yes.
that. Yeah, so
Yeah.
just so having that constant person throughout your journey just makes things very easy, because I mean they know when you're not acting normally, and they can actually kind of like give you okay, ask you at first like what's happening, or like they can notice those trends, you see. So yeah, I'd advise something like that, but I know that I know that it's not possible for everyone. So but then if you're lucky enough to have that system in hand, just do it. And also if you're not privileged enough to have that, try and make an initiative and then just go out there and always there'll be someone in your community who knows the journey that you're going through. Just start by saying hi or
True.
something like that, just like doing establish a sort of like a constant relationship that you'll have with a certain person. And then I
Yeah.
think like the third and last thing I can say is like always keep learning, because
Yep.
yeah, I always keep learning. When I came to UCT, one of the things like I found course really difficult, and which is like controversial, because okay, coming from school, you're that kid who's always like doing best. You try to make sure that you have everything like ready, perfect, and you get those high marks.
Yes.
Then once, once you go into university and you find that things are different, you find
Yes.
that it's like it's no longer about retaining knowledge and then just giving it out in tests. It's no longer about that anymore. It's more about like understanding. You must have a lot of understanding towards what you're doing. You must beforehand, your books should be your life, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah. So it
Yeah.
just becomes like that. So because I remember I was getting frustrated because I don't understand why is this happening, because I was the best at where I was coming from. Why is it like now I'm just like it's like 180 on me, and you see that thing. So and one of the things I did is just like, you know what, change the system. Don't stick to the same routine. Don't stick to the same high school routine. I know some people in high school, they just go for the tests because I mean you know what's gonna be there. Yeah. But some of my friends,
True.
if you like, yeah, they're telling me that like they just went for the test and then they just wrote the test, and then sometimes you pass well, sometimes you pass with low marks, but then you pass it away. But then now it's no longer the case. It's just don't stick to the same routine. And um, one thing about university is that you always keep on changing. It's always it's a matter of like you always modify. You find that okay, this works for me, and then you go to the next semester. You find that the same thing was working some previously. It's not no longer working. So you constantly have to adjust as you go up. So this, I think, that was one of the key things. And I always get angry that I didn't recognize those things before, like early on, because I was like, you know what,
Yeah.
I'll just do this straight path. I'll just go and read my books. But it's
Yeah.
more about that. And in university, it becomes a mental thing. It's that's why many students you get like mental health problems. Once sometimes they are there beforehand, but then since it's matric or it's high school or it's junior, it's things the load is no longer, it's not that high, like high. But then when you get
Yeah.
into university, you find that things are totally different. The same system that was working for you is no longer like working anymore. So that was one thing which like I saw like later on. I think like it was second year or something like that. You know what? I, I think yeah, start of second year. I was like, you know
Second.
what?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, this. I have to change these things because I noticed that like say the system that I'm using right now, it's not working. It's not
Mm.
working at all. So I had to like constantly adjust. And if something worked the last semester, I don't think it's gonna work now.
I
Yeah, yeah. So just have a mix of it, because I remember while I was studying, I had a mix of group work, as in like work with my buddies. Sometimes work isolated. Sometimes go to the lecturer, consult. Sometimes the internet. I didn't just like know what working with my friends works. Then this is what I'm gonna do for the rest of the degree. You're
yeah.
gonna fail if you do it like that. You're gonna
Yeah,
fail. So just keep
it
on.
needs you to be malleable, to be someone that is free
Mm.
to change. Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly the point. Just be
Mm.
free to change and recognize what's happening, and then just adjust to that. Yeah, that's one of the key golden highlight things I can say. Just like
Yeah.
don't be that same person. Yeah, yeah,
Uh-huh.
just adjust to the situation.
But
Yeah.
it's a very transformative journey. That's why I say if you go into a mechanical or any other engineering degree and you leave it, and the only change that you got is that you got a piece of paper, then you've been doing it quite wrong, because it's a very deep process. You get to get
Yes,
aligned
yes.
with good habits, good sleeping
Mm,
habits. You get to
mm,
align with good mental habits. I like the fact that one of the first things that you mentioned is building a good friendship base, building a good network of friends, people that you
mm.
can trust, people that you can go into, going back home, calling. A lot of people forget that,
Yeah,
because it's months on end where you're not seeing your family, you're not even going home for Easters, you even
that's
sometimes
true.
forget the picture of their faces, and you have to look at your phone and pictures and stuff. And that
Yeah.
takes a toll with the mental health. And the nature of the
Mm,
work is deep as well. Like, we deal with a whole lot of abstract issues. We deal
mm,
with lines of code, derivations. Those things are
mm.
very abstract and can get the mind into a certain state. So I really love the fact that you mentioned that.
One thing like that
Yeah.
we're talking about, I remember I was also like a mentor back at the residence that I was staying. One thing I forgot to say
Yes.
is that utilize the mentor system either at school, or if you are lucky enough to be in res, use the residence structure. Those people will help you a lot, because I
Yes.
remember going to some of the learners there. I also had like a mentor as well. So I had a mentor. Then when I was at the stage where I have knowledge, and I was like, you know what, I can also provide help in the same sense that I was assisted as well. Yeah, and one of the things which I found out when I was mentored is that yeah, the point that you were saying that students they tend to forget about back at home, because they'll be so preoccupied about what is happening now, and that they don't have a contact base back at home. So that's really important. Just constantly call home, or talk to your mentor about whatever you're going through. And obviously, they won't have all the solutions. I didn't have all the solutions, but then I can refer you to somewhere where you can get help or you can get assistance. So because another thing, people say like, no, what, I won't talk to anyone because they won't have the solution to my problem. I mean, like, yes, they
Mhm.
probably won't have it, but then they might know someone who's gonna assist you. So it's a matter of, yeah, it's just reach out to people and you'll be surprised. Yeah, that's another thing I can add to what I have said.
Yeah. Like, in one line, if you can summarize engineering, you deal with the most mechanical or inhumane things that make you the most human. Like, you become human. You learn the value of Ubuntu. You learn the value of humanity. Yeah. So I want to get into your experiences. One thing that we have in common is that we are mentors for our residences, and it's a very rewarding experience as well. You mentioned a whole lot about that, but I want to get also into something that is very important for engineering students, and that is experience. I saw that you had a few internships that you had. How valuable are those in enhancing your career?
Yeah, yeah, I can. internships, I feel like they're the blood of engineering, because if you go there and come back with your certificate, no experience, nothing. I mean, I don't think you can say that you really have that degree, because I mean, with what happens that with internships is that it's more of like you learn something, then you go and apply it, and then that's how
Yes,
you learn, and then you go back and learn some more, and then you go apply it, and then that's how you even know that, you know what, I am really loving this, or I'm really hating it. But I know people who, after going to internships, they know that, you know what, I'm not in the right career, or I'm not in the
sure.
right qualification. Yes, and yeah, it happens, and they just move to science, or they move to whatever other second passion that they have. That's the value of
Yes,
internships. Internships, they validify what you're doing. They tell you that, you know what, you're in a right path, or you need to learn some more, or you have enough knowledge. You see, and I know people who go to do like an internship, and then they get an idea, and then they start a business. That's how important. And for myself, I know my first job offer, I got it from the same company I was doing my internship. That's how valuable it is. So because
nice.
I know, like, when I got the opportunity to do an internship, I made sure that I work hard enough that they remember you, and that's one thing. People just, like, they do it just to put it on your CV, and they just do it to say, like, no, what, I've done an internship, and like, at the end of the day, it's not really valuable. And
Mm,
what I can say is that if you had the opportunity, if you get the chance to do an internship, just go hard there and make sure that they'll remember you for something. And yeah, so I remember, like, they said, like, you know what, after you finish your education, just come back to us, we're gonna have a place for you. That's how important internships are, so I can never overstate the importance of internships.
of
And
internships, yeah.
yeah, yeah, oh
Yes,
yeah, internship or work sometimes can be even a 2 week work. And I know people, they be like, sometimes they be like, you know what, Cyber, I don't have access to those big companies, or those. No, it's not about that. Sometimes even going to your local garage, your dealership, the people who the people who fix cars, just say, you know what, can
yes,
I stay there for a week or 2 weeks? Just like, you don't have to pay me. I remember I was not paid for my first internship. You don't have to pay
yeah.
me. You don't have to pay me. I'm just offering my assistance, and then that's where you learn a lot of things, and you
Mm,
become more valuable than the kids back at school who are getting higher marks, because I mean, you know how things fit, and you know why you're doing the whatever you're doing, or you know, if for example, you do mechanical engineering, and you have done like an experience with a quick experience where, like, you dealing with cars. When you talk about dealing up a section about clashes, for example, for you, it's a no-brainer. You know how everything works. You can understand it much quicker than the other learners. So in a way, it differentiates you from the other learners. So just, if you have the opportunity, just go for it. And I can never say, it's, yeah, it's really valuable. I can just that's it's like
yeah.
that.
A ment a
Mm.
mentor of mine once said that internships give you the chance to understand why a washer has to go before a bolt. That was the
So
very
true.
dry engineering joke that he made. He's like, when you're doing assemblies in first year, you don't understand why is there a washer there, and this thing
Yeah.
is so hard to draw. So it's like when you go into an internship, now you understand if you don't put a washer, hell
Yeah.
is gonna break loose on your machine. So yeah, it was one of
That's
those
true.
things.
That's true. That's true. Another thing
Yeah,
which happens, like, for example, if you're designing something, and then you don't even put enough space to think about it, that
yeah,
for the screws, for example, if something which by your test balls, you just design your component in a funny way, whereby, like, there's not even enough space for the person who's working on that to assemble the machine itself. And then when you
yes,
do the work, or you do your internship, you say, oh, because those old guys are gonna tell you, "Yay, when you shouldn't do it like that." Yeah, so
Exactly. They're
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
tear
So
you up. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So you get experience. You get experience from the guys who know what they're doing. They tell you, you know what, this is something that you have to do. This is something that you shouldn't do. And then you, in a way, in a way, if it's a simple way I could say, it's accelerated learning. That's all to it, because you're still gonna learn, but then if you do it, you just learn it much faster. So it's very valuable.
And it's also active learning. You touching, you interacting with the work as well. Yeah.
That's
And you
true. That's
also
true.
you also mentioned a very good point when it comes to volunteering. A lot of people are like, why would I want to waste 2 weeks of my vacation? It was
Time.
a long semester. Why would I want to do that? But it's really valuable. It's really valuable. And it also builds, you understand now how to work with seniors, people that were in the field. A lot of what we don't account is that yes, the work is technical, but a lot of social norms have to be maintained. There are people that are 50 years, older than you, like older to be your granddad, and they've been there for years. There are certain ways to approach them. There are certain ways to talk to them. There are certain ways to propose ideas, and you won't understand that because you've been in a class where everyone is almost your age. You can talk however you want to,
Yeah,
but
that's
now you
true.
you you have ways now to conduct yourself as well. So I think that is pretty valuable. So now we can
One
move.
okay,
Yes.
just to add that, one thing that people don't recognize, that even though like you have your hard skills, your soft skills, they play a huge role. Those things where like you just do, you volunteer, you join a society, you do, because at the end of the day, I remember like all of you guys, if you're in university, you're going to get a degree, all of you. But then what's gonna differentiate you from the other student? And that's where uh, these uh, these things come into play. That's where, okay, oh, both of you have a degree, and then the interviewer will just look, okay, what else did you do? Because university is not only about learning, it's about getting experience. When I say experience, not only engineering experience, but then soft skills, talking skills, writing skills, interacting, the networks that you build. It's all about those things, that package. Because I remember even one of the interviews that I was doing, in all the interviews that I went through, they always go through a section whereby they talk about what soft skills. They always ask, what have you done other than engineering? So just for a moment, just
Yes.
stop talking about engineering. Just talk about what else did you do. And then if you're
Yeah.
only learning, then what are you gonna say there? There's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They always, interviewers would always bring up soft skills. So it's if you don't want to do it for yourself, just do it for your career then, because
Mm.
yeah, it will help you a long way to
And do
get
it
that
for,
knowledge.
for Yes, and do it for other people as well. Well, what you want to be is someone that is really pleasant to work with. We don't want someone that is really smart and really gifted, but it's really hard to get knowledge out of from them. It's really hard to interact with them. Make it easier for other people to work with you as well. So if we can, we can. Now we talked about the past. We talk about how you broke into the field, things that helped you. Now let's talk about the present. I know that you obviously engineers code. You can't speak about the work that you do into detail. But what are some of the highlights now that you outside of varsity and you into this world of work? What are some of the rewarding things that you like? Man, this is it. This is engineering. Yeah.
So, but I can say about like because like I said, engineering especially mechanical engineering is really broad. You can go towards like do pretty much everything that you want to do. And for me, like, I found the if I can say, I work so I shows because I mean, you can go to maintenance, you can go to design, you can go to sales as well. So I shows the design path. So I work in a design space. So like I said, like pretty much, I work for the company that I work for example, we deal with waterworks, as in, like, when I say waterworks, your wastewater plants, your dams, reservoirs. And then, since I'm a mechanical person, obviously I'll work about the mechanical aspects of that. For example, pump stations, the machinery within the wastewater areas. So I deal with that. So I do lot of drawings so far. So obviously, as I go forward, that's when you get to do your own project and so forth. So now I'm just like assisting within a project which has happened, which is occurring. So for me, I'd say the rewarding thing about working now in doing what I'm doing is that I know that I'm helping people. Without the work that I'm doing, I don't think like we'd have a hygiene society. We won't have um pretty much diseases will be spreading all over. So it's really important. And the rewarding things that about it, you get to see the product of whatever you're designing before. And like,
Yes.
if you go earlier on, when I said I wanted to do engineering, I said I wanted to do something that you can actually see
Yeah.
at the end.
And you can
So if you
point.
you can point like, you know what, I did that, or
Yeah, I did
I had a,
that.
yeah, or yeah. So that's another thing. So like, in a way, we are really helping out people, really helping out South Africa in terms of, since I'm working the Western Cape, but then we do projects all over Africa. So like, my assistance is broad, so I can be helping people in Nigeria or whatever. So it's, yeah,
Yes.
but in a way, but you're really helping society to be a better place. You're doing work which is rewarding because you get to see whatever you're doing. Also, in a way that it's work which is stimulating. Obviously, there'll be times when you'll be doing routine things, which is fine. And so,
Yes.
and obviously, when
Yeah.
you're starting out, you have to do those things as well. So yeah, so those are there. But then, yeah, it's really cool stuff. So, and I'd really advise people, or like, if you really think about mechanical engineering and it's like, I'm not sure, just go dig deep into yourself and take what I've said as well, just into that, and then you'll find that. And like I said, there's a it's very broad. You could be doing way different things. I know my friends, for example, my friends are doing way different things that I'm doing. And
Then you're
then
doing,
it's
yes.
still, yeah, for example, because like I told you, there's design, there's maintenance, there's production, there's planning, there's sales. So some of my friends drifted towards, like, for example, maintenance. Some of them drifted towards production. Some of them, like, I am designer, like I said. And then some of them drifted off engineering towards commerce. So
Yes, that
so
happens. Yeah.
yeah. So that's how broad it is. So you can, with engineering, for example, if I'm only talking about engineering. I'm sure like some things apply to other qualifications, but then engineering, you can pretty much do whatever you want. So it's just a matter of like uh finding those opportunities and making sure that like you utilize the chances that you get, I guess. And I'm also like aware that we not everyone will get, like, for example, their first job as well, the job that you want immediately. It's an experience thing. Just have to lay those bricks. Just have to learn that foundation for you to reach whatever you want. Mm.
True, that's very true. You touch on that, and now I know a lot of graduates from not only my school, but other varsity that are frustrated with, since it's the lockdown, recruiting processes are on hold and whatnot. So that's a very comforting message to them as well, to say, you know what, guys, just hold in a bit longer. It's the situation is not ideal, but as soon as you get into it, you'll also be able, like Siso, to point into to some stuff and say, you know what, I actually helped build that, I actually
Mm.
helped design that and stuff like that. So what are the top three skills, technical skills that you are seeing in your work right now, that if you were to go to CISO in second year, you would say, yo, CISO, double down on this right now because you will need it somewhere in
Mm.
2020. What are those three skills that you think technical we
Yeah.
definitely need?
Um. if I can think, I mean, like I know that you have to be that person who knows a lot of things, I guess. But then I can in terms of engineering, just make sure that you know your fundamentals, I guess. Those like your physics, your statics, all of those things. Just have it, and obviously you won't apply all like all the 12 chapters,
Of
but then
stats,
of statics, you won't apply all of them, but then just have like an understanding of how things work, because obviously nowadays when you're doing a design or when you're working on design, you won't have a textbook in there. You can go on the internet and get it again, but then there are those subtle things like, not, this is not feasible, so double down on your fundamentals. Just kn- know enough, I guess. I can say, I don't want to say know too much, because that's also, you lose focus on, because in real life there are some like things that you have to do it or deviate from. So just know enough of your fundamentals, I guess. And also, in terms, we're moving into a fifth industrial like the generations was coming up. It's like it's the fifth industrial revolution, eh? So that means then the power of technology is gonna be even more important. So your CAD skills, for example, CAD skills, that means like your software. Just have a package that you fully understand. Obviously, the
Yes.
company maybe will have a different one, but then since you have a basic understanding, it will be much easier for you to transition. For example, I know the CAD software I was using in university is, and my first internship is different from the CAD software I'm using now. But then
Yes.
since I've made sure that I understand those, it's much easier for me to transfer my knowledge to this new to this new software. So that's the second thing. And also, fifth industrial revolution, you're gonna need to know about coding as well. Just
Yes.
if you, yeah, just make sure that there's a language that you at least understand. You don't have to be like the expert at it, you don't have to be perfect, but then at least if it happens that someone approaches you as like, you know what, we have this problem and it might need a bit of coding, and then they show you the lines, you'll have a vague or even a proper understanding of what is happening, because technology is going that direction. And I mean, the future is going that direction as well. So just double down on your coding skills, like I told you earlier on. um okay, Python I did at school, so that I know, but I'm trying to also move with the internet in terms of like learning your basic HTML, JavaScript, your Ruby, like just something which will, something I'm doing on the side as well. So it doesn't have to
Yes.
be within the job. Just keep on learning, because like the next fifth industrial revolution will require you to have these skills, and if you're not prepared, then yeah, it's just, it won't be convenient for you. Yeah.
True.
And one other thing that I can say as well, like the last one, you said only three things. I'll just limit there. The
Throw in a
three.
bonus, man. Throw in a bonus. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's also to do with your soft skills, your writing, because many people think
Yes.
like, you know what, I'm doing engineering, I'll be coding there, or I'll be modeling, doing your software. And then you start when you have to prepare specs, and then you have to prepare specifications for whatever equipment that you're doing. You have to write long emails to your colleagues explaining something. You have to write to the client, you have to talk to the client over the phone, you have to, you see, those soft skills. And 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 sometimes, like, I feel like universities, they don't really focus on that, because they'll say like, no, you're doing engineering, focus on your engineering things. Humanities is going to focus on those skills. Like, no.
Yeah.
If you have the ability to do an elective at school, try to do one elective at least, uh which which is outside, which is outside engineering. I know it at my university at UCT, they even forced you to do it.
No,
Yeah, so
so it's no longer an elective. It's like,
yeah,
uh,
you have to, yeah. Yeah, they have to, they force you to do it. I remember I did public administration and politics, so it's understanding how politics works and how public administrators do their job. And then you have to write those long essays, like
mhm.
1,000 words, and which was really good because it really prepared me to write. Okay, even within university, my final year, I had to write like a thesis. They were like 17,000 words. It's like, how, where am I gonna get 17,000 words?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah, but like that short course there, I like know how do you structure your thinking, how do you structure an idea, how do you put it into a piece of paper. That was valuable. Coming into the workplace as well, you find that you're writing a lot of emails to within to your colleagues. You also writing emails to like sometimes to clients. So you find that you have to know how to write, and you have to know how to write professionally. So that's
yes,
another thing which I can say. And yeah, those are the main skills that you need to know. And also then the bonus now is just like know how to have fun. Don't be that always serious person who no one like wants to talk to.
yes,
Just yeah,
please.
yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
Be a fun person, I guess. That's another skill which is available in the workplace, because they don't hire you only for your brains. They also, you're gonna, for example, you work for what, 6 hours, 7 hours a day, and you stay next to people. If you're that nasty person, it's gonna be a living hell just being with you,
mm,
and everyone's gonna hate you. And when people hate you, they don't really want to work with you, and then you find that you're not really progressing as much within your career as you want to, because not that you
yes,
don't know what you're doing, but you're not a pleasant person to work with, I guess. So yeah, that's
true.
the bonus point I
The
can
bonus
just
tip,
put out
yeah.
there. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, thanks a lot,
Mm.
Siso. Like you shared a whole lot of gems, and especially when it comes to the having fun part. Engineers are really bad at having fun.
Yeah.
Really bad at having fun. So that's definitely something I see someone that is in high school learn
Mm.
how to have responsible, engaging fun when you're in your matric. It's a tough year, but learn to do that while you still have the time. In your first year, that's also good, you know. In your tougher years, third, fourth, remember to do that as well. And also in your engineering career, learn how to have fun. It has been an absolute pleasure. See, so what we'll do is that we'll compile, you know, a short document that will help everyone that will subscribe, just
Mm.
to get that information, and then it's free to share. You could share with everyone, and so it's basically like a short PDF with images. Then you can share it with everyone that you think might need the help. But it is an absolute pleasure to have you. I learned a lot. I haven't learned so much
Okay.
in such
No,
a
no,
short
and it
period
just
of time. Yeah,
I also
yeah,
enjoyed the session as well, because I mean, when you talk to different person, like I know I was like to my final year last year, but then still like you different setting. I guess you have a different way of thinking, and then when you get to the space, you have a different way of thinking. So it was like really nice just talking to you as well, just like having my brain like going back, doing a throwback per se, but then it was
yeah.
really nice and
Is it a
informative as
Thursday?
well.
It is a Thursday.
Oh, it's a Thursday as
Yeah,
well.
it's a
So it's
Thursday.
just
So
like,
that throwback was well fitting.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it's been a pleasure, and like anytime you wanna do maybe different topic, a different subject, or something like that. Also might involve you also in the work that I'm doing as well, because I'm also having like some sort of like bit of YouTube on the side, but then like but it's that is starting up as well. So I'm still in the
Yes.
process of doing the scripts for the videos I want to do. So
Yes.
yeah, so
That's
I might also involve you in that, because you look at a person who's like also open-minded as well. So I think would really work well together.
oh, thanks a
Mm.
lot. Thanks a lot, Cecil. Thank you for the well wishes and consideration. So where do people find you, Cecil?
Mm. I mean, you can get me on Facebook, and I go by my name, Siso Albert Nqolosi,
Mm-hmm.
and that's pretty much you can get me. Like, if you go there, you just can get me easily.
I
That's
get you
the
there.
preferred way of connecting me. Yes.
And on LinkedIn, you're also on LinkedIn?
Yes, LinkedIn as well. That's how you found me as well. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm pretty much yeah, I'm pretty much active there, and also you can just follow. I always advise people to be on LinkedIn, and I'm sure you know the importance of LinkedIn, and
Mm,
in terms of like progressing your career as well is really important. Every company which interviewed me, they also went through my LinkedIn, so it's a no
yes.
brainer. Just have a LinkedIn, have professional content in there. You don't have to post every day, or you don't have to post anything, but then you can retweet something. But then if it's relevant and you really connect with that story, just share it there, and people are gonna appreciate that. And also get to connect with your colleagues, your friends as well, and yeah, there are really fun stuff in there. So you can get me at LinkedIn. Also, Siso Albert, you can get me in
Siso
there.
Albert Nqolosi. Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Thank you
yes,
so
yes.
much, Siso. And we'll definitely look forward to your YouTube platform as well. Good luck with that. Good luck with the job that you're doing now. I hope everything is rewarding. I hope you do the very best of your abilities and keep spreading on the light and keep on doing great things, man. So
Thank you very much.
I'm gonna end
It's
the
been a strength.
broadcast now. Yeah, and then we're
Oh,
gonna
well.
do okay.
Okay. Yeah. So